He'd been hunting children online for months, grooming victims, planning attacks. And when a judge issued the warrant for his arrest, he vanished. But what this predator didn't understand was that running only delayed the inevitable. Because when you're wanted for crimes against children, there's a specialized unit trained for one purpose: to find you, breach your door at dawn, and drag you into the light. This is the story of how a SWAT team hunted down a predator who thought he could hide forever.
The investigation began 6 months earlier when a mother in suburban Phoenix noticed her 13-year-old daughter was receiving messages from an adult male she didn't know. The mother did what every parent should do. She looked at the messages and immediately called police. What detectives found in that initial report was disturbing, but unfortunately familiar. A 37-year-old man named Kevin Barrett had been grooming the young girl online, building trust over weeks, gradually introducing sexual content, and finally attempting to arrange an in-person meeting. Detective Lisa Martinez of the Phoenix Police Department's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force took the lead. She'd worked dozens of these cases, predators who use social media, gaming platforms, and chat apps to find and exploit minors. Barrett fit a common profile: socially isolated, unemployed, living alone, spending most of his time online hunting for victims. The grooming process is methodical, Martinez explained in training sessions for other officers. They don't start with explicit content. They start with friendship. They find lonely kids, often from troubled homes, and they become the supportive adult the kid is missing. They build trust. Then they slowly introduce inappropriate content, normalize it, and eventually move toward exploitation. By the time parents notice, significant psychological damage has been done. In Barrett's case, investigators discovered he wasn't targeting just one child. Forensic analysis of his seized devices revealed conversations with at least 11 minors across 4 states. Some conversations were in early grooming stages. Others had progressed to explicit material exchange. 2 had advanced to planning in-person meetings where Barrett intended to sexually assault children. The evidence was overwhelming. Barrett was charged with multiple counts of online solicitation of a minor, distribution of obscene material to minors, and attempted child enticement. Arrest warrants were issued. Detectives went to his last known address, a small apartment in a modest Phoenix neighborhood. He was gone. Barrett had either been tipped off or had sensed law enforcement closing in. He'd cleared out his apartment days earlier, leaving no forwarding address. His phone was turned off. His social media accounts were deleted. His family claimed they hadn't heard from him in weeks. He'd effectively vanished. This is when predators become most dangerous, Martinez noted. They know they're caught. They know prison is coming. Some turn themselves in. Others run and continue offending, figuring they have nothing left to lose. For 3 months, the Phoenix PD and U.S. Marshals tracked Barrett through financial records, known associates, and digital footprints. They discovered he'd been using cryptocurrency to stay off the grid, avoiding traditional banking that could be traced. He'd purchased a burner phone and was communicating through encrypted apps. He was smart about evading detection, but not smart enough. A break came from an unexpected source: Barrett's ego. Despite being wanted, despite knowing police were searching for him, he couldn't resist continuing his predatory behavior online. Using new accounts and a VPN to mask his location, he began grooming another victim, a 14-year-old girl in Tucson. But this 14-year-old girl was actually an undercover officer with the Southern Arizona Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. The operation was part of routine predator hunting, not specifically targeting Barrett. But when the undercover officer analyzed the communication patterns and language, something seemed familiar. She shared the account information with Phoenix PD. Detective Martinez immediately recognized the style, the same grooming techniques. The same escalation pattern, even some identical phrases Barrett had used in previous conversations. They couldn't prove it was him yet, but they strongly suspected. The undercover officer continued the conversation, carefully documenting everything while trying to get Barrett to reveal identifying information. Over 2 weeks, they built enough evidence to trace the account's IP address, which led them to a VPN service. With a court order, they forced the VPN provider to reveal the true IP address behind the connection. It pointed to a motel in Mesa, Arizona. The Desert Rose Inn, a cheap weekly rate establishment where people paid cash and didn't ask questions. Exactly the kind of place someone hiding from law enforcement would choose. Surveillance was established immediately. Detectives confirmed that a man matching Barrett's description was staying in room 147, registered under a fake name, paying cash weekly. He left the room rarely, usually just to get food from a nearby convenience store. The rest of the time, he was inside, almost certainly online, hunting for more victims. "We need to hit this fast," Martinez told the tactical briefing. "He's actively grooming minors right now. Every day we wait is another day he's finding new victims. And if he gets spooked, he'll run again." The decision was made to execute the arrest warrant using the Phoenix Police SWAT team. This wasn't standard procedure for all warrant services, but Barrett's case met several criteria that justified tactical response. He demonstrated willingness to flee. He might be monitoring police activity online and could destroy evidence if he had warning. And most critically, he'd made statements in online chats suggesting he'd never go to prison and would fight before surrendering. That last point was what elevated this to a SWAT operation. Any indication that a suspect might violently resist arrest justified. Using specially trained tactical officers rather than regular detectives serving a warrant. At 5:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, the operation launched. The timing was deliberate, early enough that Barrett would likely be asleep, giving tactical officers maximum advantage, but late enough that dawnlight was breaking for better visibility. The SWAT team consisted of 12 operators, plus a crisis negotiator, K-9 unit, and medical support. They'd studied floor plans of the motel room, identified entry and exit points, and planned for contingencies, including hostage scenarios or barricade situations. 2 operators positioned at the rear of the building to prevent escape through the bathroom window. 2 snipers took overwatch positions with clear sight lines to the room's front window and door. The primary entry team of 6 operators stacked at the door, battering ram ready, flashbang grenades prepared. The crisis negotiator called Barrett's burner phone. No answer. Standard protocol required attempting verbal contact before forced entry. They called 3 times. No response. Barrett was either asleep or refusing to answer. "Green light for breach," the tactical commander ordered. The battering ram struck the door once the cheap motel lock failed immediately. The flashbang was deployed, a blinding flash and deafening bang designed to disorient anyone inside. The entry team flooded into the small motel room, weapons up, shouting commands. "Police! Search warrant! Get on the ground! Show me your hands!" Barrett was in bed, jolted awake by the explosion and shouting. His hands moved toward his laptop on the bedside table, possibly to close it, possibly reaching for something else. Operators couldn't take chances. "Hands! Show me your hands now!" 2 operators with ballistic shields pinned him to the bed while a third secured his hands in flex cuffs. The entire sequence from breach to custody took 11 seconds. Textbook execution. Suspect in custody. Room secure. No injuries. While operators secured Barrett, the digital forensics team entered and immediately preserved his laptop and phones. When predators are arrested, they often try to destroy evidence in those final moments. Standard procedure now was to immediately seize all electronics in a state that preserved any active sessions or unencrypted data. What they found on Barrett's devices was worse than anticipated. He'd been in active communication with 17 different minors. Some conversations were just beginning. Others were highly explicit. And most disturbing, he'd been planning to leave Arizona entirely, relocating to another state where he believed he could continue offending without detection. If we'd waited another week, he would have been gone, Martinez reflected later. He'd been researching bus routes to avoid flying, which would have required ID. He was days away from disappearing completely. And all those kids he was grooming would have continued being victimized. Barrett showed no remorse during initial interrogation. He claimed the conversations were just fantasy, that he never intended to meet any minors, that his previous attempts to arrange meetings were jokes. His defense attorney eventually advised him to stop talking. But the evidence was overwhelming. Digital forensics recovered thousands of messages. IP addresses and metadata proved he'd been actively grooming minors from multiple locations. And the undercover officer had his most recent conversations documented in real time. Barrett's case became part of a larger Department of Justice operation targeting online predators who'd been emboldened by encryption technology and cryptocurrency to believe they could operate undetected. Over 6 months, coordinated operations across 15 states resulted in 127 arrests, all predators who'd been grooming minors online. Technology gives predators new tools, explains Special Agent Sarah Morrison of the FBI's Crimes Against Children Division. But it also gives us new tools. Every digital conversation leaves a trace. Every image has metadata. Every transaction can be tracked. Predators think encryption makes them invisible. It doesn't. It just makes our job harder, but not impossible. Barrett eventually accepted a plea deal to avoid trial. 40 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole, lifetime registration as a sex offender, and lifetime supervised release if he's ever freed. At sentencing, the judge's statement was uncompromising. You preyed on children. You used technology to hunt victims across state lines. When law enforcement closed in, you fled rather than face consequences. And even while fugitive, you continued seeking new victims. You represent exactly the type of predator that parents fear most, someone who appears normal, but whose entire existence is dedicated to exploiting the vulnerable. The sentence is designed to ensure you never have opportunity to harm another child. The mother whose report initiated the investigation attended the sentencing with her daughter, now 14 and in therapy, processing the trauma of Barrett's grooming. She made a victim impact statement. My daughter trusted him. She thought he was her friend. She didn't understand that everything he said was manipulation designed to eventually hurt her. She's working through that betrayal now. But I'm grateful every day that we caught it when we did. Some families don't. Some children don't tell their parents. And those predators succeed. Barrett didn't succeed with my daughter because I was paying attention. And because Detective Martinez and her team didn't give up when he ran. The SWAT team that executed the arrest rarely receives public recognition. Their work is tactical, brief, and often invisible to communities they protect. But operations like Barrett's arrest represent hundreds of hours of training, planning, and risk undertaken to safely apprehend dangerous individuals. People see the 11 seconds of us breaching the door, explained SWAT team leader Marcus Johnson. They don't see the 3 days of surveillance, the mission planning, the contingency preparations for if things went wrong, the physical training so we can execute flawlessly under stress, the psychological preparation to potentially face violence. This job isn't about glory. It's about doing a dangerous job properly so nobody gets hurt and bad guys go to jail. Barrett is currently serving his sentence at a federal facility. He's in protective custody, even in prison. Child predators are at the bottom of the social hierarchy and face violence from other inmates. He'll likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. The 17 minors he'd been grooming are in various stages of recovery. Some received counseling. Others' parents never learned how close their children came to being victimized. A few didn't understand they'd been targeted at all. The grooming had been subtle enough that they thought they'd been talking to a peer, not a predator. Detective Martinez continues working internet crimes against children cases. She estimates she's investigated over 200 predators in her career. Most are caught eventually. Some plea bargain. A few go to trial. Almost all receive significant prison sentences. But the work never stops because predators never stop hunting. Every child protected makes this work worthwhile, she said. But I'm haunted by the ones we don't catch in time. The ones who successfully meet their victims before we identify them. The ones who slip through gaps in jurisdiction or technology. Barrett was caught because a mother paid attention and because we got lucky with that undercover operation. But how many Barretts are out there right now, grooming kids online, and we just don't know about them yet? The reality of modern law enforcement is that predators have gone digital. The internet provides unprecedented access to potential victims and tools for evasion. But it also provides unprecedented tools for detection and apprehension. The SWAT team that arrested Barrett has executed dozens of similar operations, predators hiding in motel rooms, apartment complexes, even family homes, believing their digital anonymity protects them. It doesn't. Eventually, they make mistakes, leave digital footprints, get careless. And when they do, teams like Phoenix PD SWAT are ready to come through that door. Barrett's case is one of thousands annually. Some make headlines. Most don't. But each represents the same fundamental truth. Predators can run, but they can't hide forever. Technology might give them temporary invisibility, but law enforcement agencies have adapted, trained, and equipped themselves to hunt in digital spaces just as effectively as physical ones. And when predators are located, when warrants are issued, when addresses are confirmed, teams like SWAT execute operations with precision that ensures predators face justice while minimizing risk to everyone involved.